morning, everyone.
Sure.
Welcome to Wall Street Beats. It is Monday, August 18th. Summer's almost over. I think some kids are going back to school this week and definitely next. Mine are. So you get some more of that work time back. What do we got this week, Dave? We got a lot of retail sales this week, which I know you're not planning to talk about, but I think we got Target and Walmart, TJ Maxx, and a bunch of others. And then I think we got Fed speak on Friday from Jackson Hole that everybody's anxiously waiting on. We got Trump and Zelensky in the White House today. That's going to be exciting. And I saw hymns under 45. So there's that.
Yeah,
What's on your mind today, David?
there is some HIMSS news out today. Actually, a couple things.
Yeah, I saw that. Got a
the biggest thing is that
half price.
Yeah, Novo decides, okay, you know what? We're losing share. This is exactly what I had described before. Not a race to the bottom in that everyone's going to try to get to the lowest price fastest, but that if you're losing market share and you have a very comparable drug, maybe not as effective as Lilly's drug, you're going to fight on price. And that's what they're doing. And also with the new CEO, they need to shake things up. They need to regain the narrative. So let's do stuff. Like that's going to be I'm sure that's part of the business development strategy. I said to a friend of mine who runs
against the wall.
Yeah, I said to a friend of mine, based on what I saw and heard from the last conference call, he runs a big healthcare only hedge fund. I said, I think that Novo is just going to start throwing money at stuff because they've mentioned in their last conference call, and don't hold me to it, might have been the one right before it. They do a lot of calls that BD is going to be very important to them going forward, which means to me, hey, we're going to be just throwing money at a lot of stuff. And his response was, that's good. They need to do that. I was like, no, because what they're saying is that they're being super aggressive. And I get it that they're generating tons of cash and they should do more BD and all. And I get that. But doing mid-stage and early BD is also expensive. Not just the purchase price. I don't really care so much about the purchase price as you have to spend on the R&D going forward. So
Right.
I don't know. I think regime change, everyone wants to put their thumbprint on, if they're the CEO, on how they're going to do things. Novo is probably sold off so much that they could do anything. Like you see today, it's up a lot. And it's just on this idea that they lowered the price now to $499. You can get weight loss medicines direct to you. They're going to do it through GoodRx. I love the trend of disintermediating or taking out the wholesalers and I don't love taking out doctors so much because people really need to have quality care. But for certain things, if you're under the care of a doctor and it's telemedicine and your weight loss, you can complain about your side effects immediately. And then that's probably fine. As long as it's not, oh, I have a headache. If you have a headache, go see a doctor because it could be a lot of bad things. I don't mean.
So are you involved in Novo, David?
I'm not. I'm thinking about buying both of them because Lilly is now still under the $700 amount that I wanted. I mentioned last week that with so much changing so fast, is $700 the right thing? Maybe I should just hold off because the Novo news today, this could be pretty disruptive to Lilly. What is Lilly going to do in response? If Lilly drops price, what does that do to margins? What does it do to the earnings estimates? At this price, Lilly's flat on the day with the market, maybe up a half a percentage point.
Yeah.
It doesn't right now. The market doesn't care at all because the stock is $700. I don't know. I'm tempted on both. I might buy a little bit of both and just put it away. Right now, my big project is the one that I mentioned last week of coming up with this portfolio of Japanese stocks to get some exposure to the weakening dollar. And that's going to take up probably a lot of this week. And my workflow, I tend to focus on things, work through it, and then move on unless some extraordinary opportunity pops up. And Lilly at $700 might be pretty good. So stick to it.
And so what are you thinking on HIMSS here now? It's really gotten hammered.
Yeah, I think another $5. There's no reason to rush. You had the insider selling. Someone also had asked me about the quarter more bluntly. And I said, look, it wasn't a good quarter. It just wasn't. They missed the top line for the first time, consensus. They didn't miss their own guidance, but they missed consensus. So they didn't manage that well. But the one thing that bothered me the most was the mention of investing so many times in their conference call. To me, that's on my radar. When I hear a company saying this is an investing year or we're going to be investing, that means cash flow. So
Yep.
and they were turning very positive cash flow, free cash flow positive. So not that it had to stay and keep growing, but when I hear that in combination with the missed top line, I'm like, okay, I can be patient here. So if I can get another 10%, so under 40, that's probably where I'd go back into it. I think it's
Okay.
what they're going to do or what they're trying to do is really hard, which is to become your doctor on a lot of different categories. Each category that they try to do has its own regulatory issues, its own supply chain, right? If all of a sudden you say, I'm going to start doing like skincare, they already do some skincare, but I'm going to do more dermatology, or I'm going to jump right into hormone therapy. You have men and you have women. You have how do you test for it? How do you keep testing for it? Who reads those results? What solutions are you going to provide? Are they going to be bespoke solutions like they like to do through compounding, or are you going to give options for branded products? If you give options for branded product, which ones? All of that, it sounds like opening a pharmacy, right? That they just say we're now offering this, but they're actually doing they have to have the doctors signed up who can do the interviews and do the patient enrollment. It's really difficult. Like what they're trying to do is, and so I don't, when I hear their conference call, I don't go, wow, it's bad that they're trying to do this. So I don't think what they're trying to do is bad at all. I don't think how they're going about it is bad at all. So,
It's not a straight line. There's going to be some bumps in the road. They're figuring this out.
yep.
Yep.
So,
Okay. So tell me about the Japanese stocks that you're looking at. You're still doing some more. You're still working. Have you put any positions? How do you do that? Do you identify
yeah,
some names? You put some positions on small just to get involved, and then once you've done your work, you add to them.
that's
How
good.
does
Yes, I'll tell you how I did it or am doing it. I start with this thesis of look, the yen is going to get stronger. What do I want
yeah?
to own in that case? So you can use a Chat GPT, you can use a Perplexity, and ask questions of okay, what. And so I spent a half a day just trying to find academic papers that would support that lower oil helps Japanese stocks. Really doesn't it? It really doesn't. So it's a very weak association.
So we
Even
could
though,
all of us can save a half a day of our lives by
yeah,
knowing that Dave just
even
did that.
even though Japan imports all of its energy or almost all of its energy via oil, that doesn't really drive the stocks themselves. So then you have to just whittle it down of what companies have domestic demand, because I'm looking for a stronger yen. And then you have to tease out things like, okay, hotels, for example. On the one hand, you would think that's great. That's a stronger yen. More people in Japan can afford to travel and they'll do that. But a stronger yen also keeps Americans and others away from Japan for travel, or at least slightly, because of it's more expensive to go there. So using different chat GPT type models or GPT models or large language models, go look for exporters that hedge, domestic focused healthcare companies, because I know a number of them. So I can look at their pipelines and infrastructure, utilities, and then ask, okay, what are the bigger companies here? And then start to screen for PE and growth. For something like this, I know that I can't get super deep on each one of them. I'm not going to become an expert on Japanese utilities. I shouldn't say I'm not going to. I won't. And so you're really just playing horseshoes with exposure. So the first thing I did though was buy the ETF that we talked about last week, and that was just as a position. If you
FXY
just
currency
yeah, if you just
ETF.
want that yeah, if you just want that exposure,
That's
then
easy.
that's a
That's
simple way to
liquid.
do that's a simple
Yeah.
way to do it. And you don't have to worry about the stock so much. But I like that's just currency exposure. I like to have the business exposure too, so I can get the benefit of a growing business. Yeah, so I have a kind of a core list right now. And now I'm going to go through each one of them. I said I can't be an expert on them, but I do want to understand what's driving them. Companies like let's mention companies that most I have.
You should talk to Nadine too, David. I know she's got some experience and some exposure over there. She might have some ideas. She's like,
Yeah,
you know, the
after I get it.
staples and the yeah.
Yeah, once I get this completely vetted on the first round, I'm going to send it to her, send it probably to the whole team and just say, hey,
Yep.
anyone have, because I'm sure everyone or some people have like fast retailing, Uniqlo. I think I understand that company, but I don't know it like someone who's actually traded it or knows the area. But Tokyo Electric Power, Japan Hotel, it's a fairly good but small list. So something that I can get through this week. And that's how I do it. So I come up with a list of the companies that screen and then actually go in and look at them and just say, okay, is there something here on their last conference call or last press release that jumps in? What I'm trying to avoid are companies with large debt loads. I'm really looking for free cash flow, growth, modest growth is fine, but growth and minimal debt, because I don't want to get caught. Where I have found it in my experience, where I sometimes get caught is if I'm not paying attention to something super closely, they have tons of debt, something turns in the business, and the next thing you know, everyone has sold, and I'm wondering why am I down 30 or 40%?
Okay. So
That
are you
happens
going to
with
put out a report? Are you going to write something up for us when you're done?
yeah.
Or
I have a draft already. I was talking to this friend of mine I told you who runs this big healthcare only hedge fund. I said, I'm tempted to test different pricing because we did really well with that other report that's $1,500. And then for a site license, it's $5,000, but people are buying it. So, but I'm tempted to see,
great
well,
report?
yeah, this is the China report. I'm tempted to see if what if I price this lower and try to more democratize it. And his initial response was, "Don't do it. You're doing a lot of work on this. You're selling yourself short." And I was like, "I appreciate that, but." So I might send out just a summary for everybody, for all the subscribers for free, but like a short summary. But I've already told you most of what it looks like.
Yep. Okay. That'd be good. I think that'd be good to
Yep.
give everybody a flavor for what you're thinking about, and then if they want to dig deeper, then they can pay to read the rest.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to probably put about 5% of my portfolio into this. So it's not like a small project.
Sure.
This is something meaningful. And you might say
Yep.
5%. So if I had a $10,000 portfolio, I wouldn't spend any of my time on this. I really wouldn't. I would, in fact, anyone who has, and I'm not saying that's so small that it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is diversifying for yen exposure probably isn't what you should be focused on. Like at $10,000 or even $100,000, what you really should focus on is, okay, how do I maximize what I have here with a minimal amount of work? So
Well, and that's the beauty of this platform is everybody here is putting their money where their mouth is, and so they're working on stuff that's meaningful to them because they're investing in it or trying to figure out whether or not they want to invest in it or the opposite, short it.
yep.
All right, sir. Why don't we cut it off here? We're gonna have a little bit of a light week this week. I know a lot of people are on vacation, which is why you just got David's beautiful face in mind today.
We never go on
Expect,
vacation, right?
I
We work
yeah,
we work all the time.
we don't go on vacation. But so you might see more of us this week, but it's going to be a little bit of a light week with everybody traveling and getting back. We will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, and that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Have a good
David.
one. See
Okay,
you, Steve. Enjoy the week.
I will.